Welcome back, Fan Duelers and fellow DFSers that are visiting the page. This is your boy Grady Fantasy coming back to you with another video. And yeah, I did say that I was gonna, wait a day or two to give a Thursday preview for the single game slate on FanDuel. But with the news going on in Kansas City, might as well drop it today. First off, the major news is definitely, without a doubt, Travis Kelce hyperextension of the injury of his knee. And the injury so far not known as severe. Okay, so not to talk down a hyperextension. We've all had hyperextended knees. Maybe if you played sports, it could be as simple as somebody just landing on your knee. Maybe your knee is planted, laying on your knee, ankle, so forth. But it's pretty much a lot of pressure and pretty much hyperextending or stretching a joint and or tendon to its pretty much most extreme or just about extreme point before it pretty much snaps or ruptures in any way. So the updated news right now is that the ACL is intact, but with a hyperextension, literally, I'm not saying this is something that you can walk off. Like, we all have hyperextension, the knee feels weak, and we'll get up, play a little pickup or whatever, play in the backyard. But in this case, you got these big athletes, and probably the way you fall. The way you got to do these tests is make sure, first of all, the tendons are intact and, at least, structurally, in place. Now, obviously, if he shows some instability, trying to plan and cut, I got a feeling with a knee and a hyperextension, a tough guy like Kelce is going to want to play this game. He's going to want to tough it out. And then probably they're going to use what I call the Thursday advantage. The disadvantage is, when you play a game Sunday, then you go in, but then you have the Thursday advantage because it's like having a bye week, because you literally have the rest of that week off, then going into that week. Well, the Chiefs have, being the fact that they're the first team to play this season, they will be pretty much, fresh, despite little nicks and knacks or whatever. Like I said, Kelce's hurt. Kadarius Toney is trending to play, but he's going to be limited, so most likely going to be schemed in if that's the case. We're also looking at, there goes, Kadarius. Kadarius is not looking, pretty much healthy. He's pretty much recovering all season. He's barely done anything in training camp. He hasn't done anything in preseason. He has taken it very easy on that knee, on just the repaired meniscus in his knee. It definitely sounds like, if anything, I do believe Kadarius Toney plays, but he's going to be on a severe snap count. And when I say severe snap count, for an entire day, and for how many offensive plays that Kansas City gets, I'll be surprised if he plays 20 snaps. Is he a GPP play? Yeah, he could, because he most likely will be low owned. Not a lot of people will pick him, but that's definitely a GPP play. Like I said, the way they run their formation, he could easily just go out in the flat inside the 5 and catch you a touchdown. This is definitely a game where now with the Travis Kelce injury, Patrick Mahomes can literally go anywhere and everywhere. Now, they have had spread out the ball, especially ever since Tyreek Hill left. But when Travis Kelce is out, that's, you're so used to Kelce being there that, it's not something that, that happens that he's not there. So, like, you expect Kelce to be there, and he has a high floor with 30 games, just missing 20, just above 20, and things of that nature. But the thing with Kelce is he's just such a dynamic talent. Like, yeah, I think every quarterback has a favorite target, and or if you want to use the term, safety blanket. So if that does persist, I think it's a 65-35 chance that he plays with a brace. I think that happens. Because if Kelce does get in the game, they get through it, they win, they get 10 days off. And I think that knee should, fully heal if no other structural damage is found. Now, the other big news that we have in KC, well, obviously I can't pick him as a player. Yes, we did, check on Kadarius Toney. Like I said, he is trending for like a very minimal snap count. He's trending to play, but he's definitely going to be on a snap count. I'm going to pick right here on the Kansas City defense. Now, obviously, I can't pick the player, but here's the other bit of news that y'all have to understand. This game, it has the highest total of the weekend. So if this was on the Sunday game, actually that Dolphins-Chargers game would be a contrarian way of getting away from this game. But this game is destined to shoot out. This game is destined to shoot out because with the ability, Kansas City kind of has a bend don't break defense. They're not the strongest defense, not the most powerful defense, but it's not something that cannot be scored against. Like I said, Detroit has a capability. Yes, they definitely go one direction. They got some talented running backs. They got some talent, and they have a very, very, cornerstone of their organization in Amon-Ra St. Brown. But the Chiefs need every playmaker on defense, and without Chris Jones, they're pretty much their sack master. He's definitely one of those guys that if you wanted to, hey, you can see these two teams going back and forth, and Chris Jones comes up with the big strip sack fumble. And hey, maybe that leads to like the big play in the game where the defense gets the last turnover, and then hey, Mahomes and company takes a knee and then ends the game right there. Like I said, in the showdown, you need every little point that you can get. But now with no Chris Jones, he could sign a contract tomorrow and play, but he's not going to be ready to play. He won't. If this was like before Labor Day weekend or something like that, maybe the week before, maybe he could do something in the case of sign and maybe warm up, and he'll be on a snap count because of conditioning. But with no Chris Jones, I won't be surprised. I think the last time I saw the over-under was 54.5. The total was 54.5. I thought with just no Chris Jones, I'll be surprised if that went one more point up. I'm not even gonna lie. This could definitely shoot out 55.5. Both teams have decent playmakers, but both of these teams are not known for the defense, which is why this game is expected to shoot out high in like that 32-24 kind of. 32-27 kind of manner. So as we look here, let's take a look at let's just get to it or whatever. And right here we have Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes at 18,000. More than likely, if you are playing Patrick Mahomes at captain, what you're saying in your game script in your lineup is Patrick Mahomes himself is going to have a great game. And either he might hand off to the running back one time, but he's probably going to end up throwing 3. This is Patrick Mahomes. You're pretty much saying he might hand off 1 touchdown, but he's throwing 3. But all 3 touchdowns are going to go to different receivers. Because once you have a quarterback in your lineup, and one receiver has a good game, but he has 2 touchdowns, then that's more than likely the optimal receiver. So let's say I think Travis Kelce plays. So I'm already building lineups in the case of Travis Kelce might be MVP. In Fan Duel, they price Mahomes pretty high. Like that's pretty much the maximum I think in Fan Duel at 18. So after that, Kelce is like 15. So after that, that's pretty much that is pretty much half that is more than half your salary. So you're gonna have to get a little sneaky with some low price players. Me with powerful offenses, I always like the fact that hey, they can move the ball, and sometimes the offense stalls. Harrison Butker is an accurate kicker. I do like picking him in this case. Or if you think the ball is gonna go in the air, you can see McKinnon catch some screen passes. They do hand the ball off to McKinnon inside the 10. But like I said, all these guys are fresh. They're ready to go. If it's not McKinnon, you can go Isaiah Pacheco at 11.5. There are a lot of options, especially both. If there's one thing that both teams definitely have, they have options at running back. Both teams do have this. The newly acquired David Montgomery, and then of course you'll have the rookie Jahmyr Gibbs, he's another one, highly touted like Evan Hull. The pass catching ability is amazing. I actually might favor Jahmyr Gibbs, even though you can run on Kansas City. But I think if this is a high scoring, or if you expect Kansas City to jump out early and then maybe the Lions make a play here, Mahomes and company can't get careless with the ball, and Detroit is down, definitely expect Jahmyr Gibbs to be in there a lot, catching passes out the flat, because I really think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get a nice target share, because once Goff doesn't see Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's going to be looking in the flat to Jahmyr Gibbs instantly. David Montgomery has some catching ability too, But without a doubt, Jahmyr Gibbs definitely looks good. You got the veteran Marvin Jones Jr., 10-5. But if you ask me, I'm not even going to lie. I like the way Josh Reynolds played with him last year. Josh Reynolds had a couple of decent games last year. Not towards the end, but like mid to beginning of the season. As you can see right there, had a nice run of 12-2, 17-6, 12-6, 11-3 towards the beginning and going into the middle of the year. Did get dinged up a bit, but Josh Reynolds has that big body, deep threat that I think you can look at Josh Reynolds because no Chris Jones. I think the fact that we're not even looking at fantasy points for the defense, but no Chris Jones means more time for Goff to step up and have reads. Or it gives him more time to have reads, or for Amon-Ra St. Brown to be in his one spot and then let Amon-Ra scramble to another spot and get it to him. I really think the absence of Chris Jones is something that y'all should factor into your decisions of making lineups, which means, hey, the contrarian pick are both defenses, pretty much. That's the contrarian pick. I expect the kickers to have at least double the ownership. I mean, hey, it's a GPP. You can pick what you want. You got to get different somehow, or you're going to end up holding hands. Or how we say in the DFS world, you're going to end up chopping with people, holding hands. Or, splitting the bag, if you will. But, like I said, it's guys like these, and then Khalif Raymond. Like I said, I definitely like picking, guys. I know they got, some new people, but I like to stick with, some of the guys that at least Goff knows, and some of these guys know Goff's habits. But if you want to get a little interesting, GPP plays. 2 tight ends that replaced Hockenson from last year. Sam Laporta, he has done very well and has impressed just the entire line staff, and with his speed and power and play catching ability. I definitely see Porter playing maybe slightly as much as Brock Wright. Both of these guys have highly impressed during the season, even though Brock Wright is a tight end 1. He's number 1 in the depth chart, but both of these guys are going to get, so both of those guys are GPP plays. Both of those guys will get snaps. Obviously, with Brock Wright being the starter, I think he's definitely going to get, slightly more snaps, but I don't think it's going to be that heavy. I think they will use both because, the lines are typically most teams are one running back with the quarterback, the 5 linemen, and then, tight end with 3 wide receivers. That's pretty much what their set was, pretty much. Because, last year was Hockenson with 3 wide receivers and with the line and everything like that. But I really think it's pretty interesting. It's definitely going to be wide open if Travis Kelce for sure gets ruled out. But like I said, hybrid extended knee, test are negative, ACL looks intact. I think he plays, but I think Travis Kelce plays with a brace. Now, if you want to go through another headache, then hey, you know how well Patrick Mahomes spread it out last year. Yes, he could give it to Pacheco. Yes, he could give it to McKinnon. But once again, this guy's normally a headache. Is he going to catch it deep? Some of those TD passes weren't all deep. I understand Valdez-Scantling is a deep threat. But Valdez-Scantling also catches some short passes. He does, a few button hooks here and there. I know he's normally the deep threat, and he is the deep threat. They picked him up to kind of replace Tyreek Hill. Obviously, there's levels of talent far from each other, but the role of deep threat, especially with these 2 defenses, and like I said, there was times last year that when I did slate reviews, I kind of nailed it on the button. I mean, they didn't boom with projections, but Detroit defense is one of those defenses that's better in the dome. On the road, I could definitely see Valdez-Scantling beating that secondary deep once, maybe even twice. This is exactly why I wish Kadarius Toney was a little more healthy. I think more than likely, hey, it's a risk, but I think with the snap count and, taking it easy on the knee, I think he is a nice fade. He shouldn't be nothing to worry about, especially for a mid-range wide receiver, especially when you're looking at guys like Sky Moore, who has a second year with the team. And then if you keep going down, Rashee Rice, Richie James. They say Justin Watson, though, it's definitely going to be he's definitely shown the most to where he should be starting with Valdez-Scantling, Kelce, and when he gets back, when he gets back, he should be with Kadarius Toney. Those are the guys that look to be the starters. So, with that being said, we're just really looking forward to a very exciting game, and it's really gonna be an exciting, it's just gonna be exciting slate to play pretty much. So if anything, we should definitely not only enjoy the slate but enjoy this game. But there's a lot of different ways to go. But hey, quick obvious stuff. Hey, you can have Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes is your MVP, without a doubt, you should definitely have something like, okay, if he doesn't play, then you should definitely have something like, I don't know. If it's passing, you should definitely expect something like McKinnon, and possibly because McKinnon can also do it on the ground, and something like Valdez-Scantling. Because I think with 5 players, with the offensive firepower in this game, you should definitely get to both sides. Unless you feel it's going to be an onslaught, then yeah, Chiefs 4-1. That's what most people like to do. But you could definitely do a sample like this. And I don't think I have enough for my man Gibbs. Do I? No. So you'll have to go all the way down here and maybe do something like, that. I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Big wide receiver like Josh Reynolds. Amon-Ra St. Brown pretty much runs any route. But if you want to get deep down the field for 15, 20, 25 yards, yes, it's Josh Reynolds. I like Josh Reynolds as a deep threat. So, nice little sample lineup right there. If you're going the opposite way, no matter what the receiver is, whoever your receiver is, if it's Amon-Ra St. Brown at your MVP, then of course you have to pair him up with the quarterback. So in this case, you'll do something like this. And then, hey, if Mahomes has a good game, let's say he throws touchdowns or whatever, doesn't throw for that many yards, but let's say 3 touchdowns and he's in the mid to high 200s. Let's say it's a bit of a defensive struggle. You could possibly get away with something like this. Maybe Valdez-Scantling caught a deep touchdown. And maybe Gibbs caught some screen passes. Maybe you could do it this way. And then with $10,000 left, just something random. This is just something real quick. Not Kadarius Toney. Yeah, maybe you could stick with McKinnon or whatever. Or maybe, hey, you go a little different. Leave some money on the table. Sometimes leaving money on the table helps you get a little different. That's $2,000 remaining. That's not a bad lineup. That could be something where, hey, no Chris Jones is a big factor. Amon-Ra St. Brown toasts that Kansas City defensive backfield. Jared Goff does go off for 300 yards, maybe 3 touchdowns. Throw two of them to Amon-Ra, and maybe a swing pass to Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe Sky Moore gets the gimmick pass where he catches it off like some type of weird reverse. That's the thing with Kansas City. Ever since the Holy Trinity has been split, it used to be Mahomes to either Kelce or Tyreek Hill, and then it was a sprinkle somewhere else. Now, ever since last year, Tyreek Hill left, now it pretty much goes anywhere and everywhere it wants. It's just a matter of the scheme. After Kelce, it pretty much gets schemed to everybody else. But it should be a fun slate, without a doubt. I'm definitely looking forward to playing this. But like I said, we still have at least 2 full days, literally, until this slate begins. I really think that a lot's going to be said. Well, the one thing that you can confirm is that Kadarius Toney is going to be on a strict snap count. I say 15 to 20 snaps, or he's going to be ruled out. Chris Jones is out. He could sign a contract tomorrow, but he's in no shape to play. He's on a holdout. I think Kelce plays with a brace. I think Kelce should be fine. I expect Kelce to be in some of my lineups anyway. But other than that, that's just a little preview and some news for those who didn't know everything totally. Once again, Chris Jones, holdout. Kelce, I think, should be fine. No ACL damage. 2 days. Yes, it's scary to have a setback so close to the opening day. This is not like hyperextension is still a dangerous injury, but once you see no structural damage, it's one of those, let the knee heal, let the ligaments heal up. But it is an issue, and it is something that should be brought up with literally just over 48 hours, because this injury literally happened probably in one of their final walkthrough practices. I think early this afternoon, the New York time pretty much came out somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock, if I remember, started popping up. So, other than that, yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game. But a lot of variables. I don't think it's clean cut and dry like how everybody think it is. Because like I said, no Chris Jones. Like I said, that's a if any comparable top 15, not even top 10, top 7, any top 12 to 15 defense can carve that up when the main sack master is gone. Because Chris Jones is viable, very viable and important to Kansas City's success. And if you don't got no edge rusher that could probably strip sack or get that strip sack fumble, or maybe even Chris Jones, it bounces the right way. And if Chris Jones is playing, I might actually if he was playing, I actually might think of playing the Kansas City defense. But since he's not, man, I really think I'm gonna fade Kadarius Toney and both defenses. I mean, that's just me now, whatever. But like I said, we'll see how everything turns out. Like I said, it should be a very fun slate. I'm looking forward to playing it. But if you ask me right now, like I said, for those who don't play a single game, like I said, if you don't think the wide receivers don't do much, or the wide receivers, get their yardage, but Pacheco and McKinnon do it, then hey, maybe get different and fade Mahomes. Because if he only throws for 1 touchdown and scrambles, then hey, that means the running backs and maybe the field goal kicker are doing their thing. If you got a wide receiver, you have to pair him up with the quarterback. If not, if you feel like other touchdowns are going to go somewhere, maybe that wide receiver get 2 touchdowns and maybe the other running backs get the other 2. Anything can happen. But in most cases, wide receiver, pair him with the quarterback. Quarterback's the MVP, pair him up with 2 pass catches at least. Or a running back that that is going to catch swing passes or do a lot of damage. But yeah, I think the best strategy for this is fade Kadarius Toney. He's definitely going to be in the snap count. Fade the defenses. And once again, Kelce's going to play, man. But it's just a case of after Amon-Ra St. Brown, after Markel Valdez-Scantling, after Travis Kelce, yes, I say he's going to play. Who's the other guys you're going to go? Or you're going to put in the kicker? Or you're going Sky Moore? Or you're going Justin Watson, who's one of the cheapest starters in this game, who probably opens up a lot. But being so cheap in a single game doesn't, has high ownership. So where do you get different? Maybe you leave Sky Moore, maybe you leave Valdez-Scantling, and maybe you go, well, I said that wrong. Justin Watson, maybe go to Sky Moore. Or maybe you do one of these things, and it's happened. We've seen KC showdowns. All of a sudden, Noah Gray wants to catch 2 touchdowns in the goal line flat when they do some gimmicky at the goal line. Andy Reid's playbook is just wide open when it gets inside the 5. We've seen all this. So there's a lot that can pretty much happen with these guys. But if, the veteran Marvin Jones could pop up, Butker could pop up, there goes Moore, Reynolds, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could probably get a breather and run the time. You just never know. I'm telling you, this game is a lot of variables. Oh, and there's one thing. I mean, hey, he's definitely more of a GPP play now. The reason why Justin Watson is getting started because he's definitely outplayed this guy in camp. So more than likely, Rashee Rice will most likely be relegated to 4 or 5 wide sets. He'll probably be the 4th, 5th receiver out there, and or be relegated to special teams, kick and punt returns. So once again, I hope you all like this video. This is Grade A Fantasy, signing off.